All right. Test.
Test.
You call it again?
Convincing idiots.
Convincing idiots.
Called it ham gravy.
I informed them that I sided with the stat man, not just anyone's opinion, the stat man Brian Fisher.
Kids today.
Jingle All the Way is in fact the best Christmas movie of all time.
I need to get Grandma a present, and my herpes is flaring up. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm the millennial
We're
Santa.
three friends representing three different generations. That's our whole shtick. That's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nick got the whole poop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in the sea
Awesome.
breeze, holding a turd, just mightily. I'm just going hitting hats.
Anyway, on a lighter note,
And welcome to the podcast, welcome to the vodcast, welcome to the broadcast. Boys and girls, welcome to the show. This is Convincing Idiots. My name's Dean, the toothless Zennial.
I'm Brian, Gen X.
And my name is Nicholas. I'm a millennial, which means I have all of my teeth. And
Now
if this is your first time joining us, we are three friends who get together once a week. We talk about nerd and pop culture things here. If you have not already done so, please go find myself and my bro hosts here on all of the social media platforms. You can find links to all of them on a tree of links. If you Google Convincing Idiots Linktree, LINKTREE, there you're going to find Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the email address, our website, all that stuff. Places, platforms that you can listen to the podcast. You can also find that information along with so much more on our website at convincingidiots.wordpress.com. And we look forward to you going on there and poking some of our buttons. So we are gathered here once again, another week in the epic lives of a Zennial, Millennial, and Gen Xer has passed by. So as time has passed, we have lived our lives. We have lived. We have laughed. We have loved. Dean, what else have you been doing for the last week?
Not much, you know.
Okay, so Brian, what have you been doing for the last week?
You're a
Oh,
mean
were
boy.
you not done? Okay.
No. I was just gonna say that I got a new dinosaur shirt. If you're watching YouTube, and I'm pretty happy about it.
That's cool.
I lost half of a molar. It broke off while eating pizza, and I'm just sitting here enjoying a nice beer from Ignite Brewing Company.
So is the dinosaur shirt an homage to your vintage now that your teeth are just falling out of your head?
Well, I mean, some could say that, but I ordered it from. It said the Brian collection. I don't.
Okay.
Wasn't sure what that meant, but
I see.
Hey, I got all my fucking teeth, so you know.
I'm gonna fuck your teeth, all right.
That sounds painful. I wouldn't advise that.
Well, he's not good at it, so it is what it is. No, that's about. Honestly, I haven't done much. I'm just working and living and, like you said, loving.
Mm-hmm. Laughing?
When I have the chance, but not so much.
Okay.
But yeah, teeth, beer, and new shirts. What about you?
There you go. I went to. I'll go next. I had a fun time Friday. We had a work outing, so we had some.
Is that where you get together with your friends and you all work out together and put the pump on?
No.
Work outing?
Hold on.
That is.
Don't take this
one
away from me,
way.
Brian. Don't take this away from me. I'm picturing it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Getting the curls on with your burner
Yeah.
boys?
Oh yeah. All sweaty, sweat dripping off the beards.
Maybe
Yep.
there's a cut-off sweatshirt somewhere in the mix?
God, I
That's
hope
right.
so.
Yeah, I have some of that mixed in the beer here. Actually, extra flavor.
Nice.
But No, it was an outing after work on Friday. So we had some business guests in, and they took us up to Top Golf up in Independence.
Oh, how is that?
I have not done that before, and it was a lot of fun. I used to golf a lot years ago.
Okay.
Not so much these days, and I'm like, we got out there, embarrass myself, and this and that. I actually shot okay, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, you get up on these big platforms. They have nice tables and seating. They have heaters out there. It's all in the open. Okay, but that heat, great service. The wait staff was just fast. They had good food menus, beer menus, and everything's just all very efficient and set up very nicely. They have all kinds of club selections, but you basically get up on the tee, and they have big targets out on a huge driving range, and you hit different color targets, and then you get different points. It's all tracked for you electronically. There's different games you could play, but you rent it out for 2-hour blocks, and very easy to get in and out of. So again, that's Top Golf up in Independence off of the Rockside Road area, up toward Cleveland there. So
you can see it right off the highway.
Definitely go back.
You can definitely see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
a lot of fun. I would definitely go back.
So you'd say that you're about ready for the first annual Convincing Idiots golf outing?
I think it'd be sure.
All right.
I actually hit okay. I did better than I thought I was going to hit. So, great time and recommended. Yeah, we'll definitely play some golf. The rest of the weekend was kind of chilling out, relaxing, spent some time with mom and pizza and a movie. We'll talk about that in idiot reviews. But downtown the rest of the weekend. How about you, Nick? How are you?
I'm well. I took a day and a half off of work at the end of the week last week. The boys were on spring break, so yeah, we had some good family time and went and did some fun stuff, ate some good food and all that. So what did we? I don't know. It was just a similar thing, just hanging out all weekend, chilling out.
Kids were on spring break last week, right?
Cool. Yes, correct. Yep.
So where was this trip? Now, you mentioned on last Tuesday that you were going to take the kids somewhere, but you did not want to disclose.
We surprised them. We went to Tinseltown to see a new movie, which I will probably discuss in the idiot review. But we went to see it in the XD theater, which is, basically it's the entire wall of the screen. We all had the recliners, and they all leaned back, and similar to what we had when we went to that theater in Kent. But the stadium, seating and all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
I'm sure it was a blockbuster adult movie that was very entertaining, I'm sure. So I can't wait to hear about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my parents used to do that. Say they had a surprise trip, but then they just open the door, kick me out into a field, and then drive off.
But you were in a brand new place in which you had never been before.
It was exciting. It was
after an adventure.
I mean, I kept falling for it. So what you gonna do?
You can't put a price on memories.
Yep.
Nope. Besides that time they hit me with the rock, and I forgot a lot of things. Anyways,
kept finding his way home like a dog. Yep.
Yep. Missing more teeth each time he returns.
Yep. The next year was just a little farther out. A little farther out. Kept finding his way back.
Yep. They were so disappointed every time.
Yeah. We started our footy practices. Our soccer practices started today for Oliver, and Robin and I are coaching again. So that's fun. Get a whole new batch of kids. All brand new kids' names to learn and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Dean started his footy practice with last time we were together. I don't know if it's the same thing though. You're talking.
No.
His focus is more on toe dexterity than soccer. But yeah.
Damn it! Does Brian have it?
All right, well, this is getting a little too sexy for our show, so maybe we should keep this rolling.
Roll the footage, people. Roll the footage.
All right.
Make sure you mark this with explicit sex appeal.
If I don't see Brian in that fucking shirt by the end of next week, I'm going to be mad. Explicit sex appeal.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. We sell more than the other one, maybe. I don't know. So did you guys see anything? Well, Nick, let's talk about your movie that you saw. What did you go see in the spectacular IMAX
Absolutely.
Type theater. Yeah.
XD Theater
XD.
in Tinseltown,
XD.
USA. There you go.
Yes.
We went
indeed.
to
Greatest
see,
movie ever? Let's hear it.
Well, we'll just have to wait and hear my review. We'll see. We went to see the much anticipated sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That film was incredibly popular in my home. The kids both loved the first one. And I got to say, Robin and I both really enjoyed the first one as well. A lot more than I thought I would. It was a good movie, and I grew up with the video game and stuff. So we went to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 2. For video game enthusiasts and for people that are really attached to the characters and different things, there's a lot of cool things in there. I will just say right off the bat, it was not as good as the first one. It was fine.
Surprising.
What I will tell you,
It's
already...
no Karate Kid Part 2.
Perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can suspend some belief here. Obviously, this film revolves around a talking supersonic fast hedgehog from another universe, dimension, planet,
Like
whatever.
most movies, too.
Sure. So obviously you have to, let some of that go. The difference is I thought in the first one they did a little bit better of a job of bringing that into like the real world, the people on planet Earth that, kind of tying this crazy thing in.
Oh, they kind of made this one more video game-esque?
Well, this one was just a lot more. They really leaned into the craziness. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
Sure.
It was a little over the top. But, I mean, the boys absolutely loved it. It was a fun watch, absolutely. I mean, especially, and it probably helps seeing in that theater and the big screen and everything. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
It had its moments. But to me, it was not as good as the first one. But we very much enjoyed it. If you would like to hear an in-depth... Here, I'll give you a plug. If you'd like to hear an in-depth review of said movie, and you don't mind, like, literally every spoiler in the book, head on over to a little podcast called Lane's World, in which myself and my son Lane review the film in full. If you got a half hour to kill, there you go. Head on over to Lane's World. Spoilers all over the fucking place.
Brought back temporarily, huh?
Yeah, if you plan, yeah, right. I'm on what he likes to call it's
super secret probation.
Well, it's a sort of a tryout session. We're kind of seeing if I can handle the responsibility again, being the co-host.
Kind of like what I'm on here.
That's right. Yeah, probation period. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know who's handling our Twitter account, but I read recently that I'm going to be replaced, or I want to be replaced, or something like that. You really should go to our Twitter and find out.
It's a 10-year ban, I believe. It's what they're talking about. Yeah.
We're considering it. Yep.
Okay. Well, don't threaten me with a good time.
But aside from that, I have a couple quick reviews. I've seen a lot of TV. I watched a lot of TV shows. Caught up on a lot of stuff. I have one more episode of Peacemaker to go.
Oh, okay.
Wow, you are fucking behind.
Yeah, I've watched episode 2 of Moon Knight, so I'm caught up there.
Okay, good.
Until tomorrow.
What'd you think?
Good. It's good.
Okay.
It's getting, I don't know. I'm not there yet. It's still kind of, we're getting to cruising altitude. I really enjoyed the first episode. I think it was all very new and exciting, and you really don't know what's going on. You're still leaning into that a little bit, but yeah, I liked it. I like where it's going. I also began, I've watched the first, I'm actually like halfway done with Winning Time, the LA Lakers show.
Oh, good. Yes.
And it's everything that I've wanted it to be. It's a good marriage of just the reality of thing. It's a documentary, I think, in a lot of ways, as much as a kind of an drama or personal look inside of some of these characters' lives or perceived to be. Jonah Hill's the director. I didn't realize that.
Really?
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
Yeah,
okay.
or producer. So Jonah Hill's a pretty major part of making this. His name's on the credits. I can't remember if it's producer, director. I want to say it's director. But anyway, I'm just very impressed by him. I think it's a really good show so far, and had no problem knocking out like the first 4 episodes. And then season 2 of a show that I love very much on Hulu is called Woke. Season 2 of that started streaming on
That's
Pryor.
a good show. I watched a couple of the first season.
Yeah, I've got like 2 episodes of that left, so I've just been banging out a lot of these shows, man. Just catching up on stuff and all that good stuff. So, what about you, fellas? What have you been watching?
I watched a movie that It's honestly I watch nothing. So what I'm going to review real quick is I can't remember.
Karate Kid too.
Yes. No, it's a Bigfoot movie, right?
Okay.
And it is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It is done by, it looks like high
John
school
Lithgow in it?
No, not that one. It's about.
It's a great movie.
Honestly, it's like a student film, but it's some of the worst. Here's the deal: is if it is meant to be horrible, it's the best. But if it's not, it's the worst movie ever made.
Okay.
I just thought about just now when I realized I had nothing that I watched this week. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just talking. Just Brian, go ahead.
What is it?
Yeah.
Well, again, I can't remember the movie. It's over
Where'd
there
you
in
see it?
the DVD. Carter brought it home. He had saw it on the internet.
What's it about?
Honestly, it's about these guys going out trying to find Bigfoot, and you don't really see the Bigfoot or creature, or whatever. I think it's like I can't remember the name, but the mask is so horrible. And they don't. It's like Jaws. They couldn't probably show it because of the mask is so horrible. So you just see like maybe the hand come by, and you'll see a part of the sleeve at the end of it. So
Okay.
I'm hoping that it was meant to be horrible. And
So
if
Carter
it is,
bring it home and go, Dad, look at this movie I found in a dumpster behind the Circle K. Is that like where did it come from?
pretty. I think his mother bought it for him out of the 25 cents. Like they gave them 25 cents and the movie to take it away.
Okay.
But yeah. Again, it's over there. I can't reach it, so doesn't matter.
All right.
I got fucking nothing, guys. Come on.
All right. You know what? You get the viewers out there, listeners out there, they're tuning
Make sure
in
to go
for
see
these
fucking
riveting,
Untitled Bigfoot movie that sucked. That
riveting reviews.
you deserve to be paid to see.
Absolutely. That's not going to fucking cut it in Germany, man.
I know.
It's not going to fucking cut it.
Here, watch
It's too
this.
fucking lazy.
Watch this. I'm gonna
Lazy,
Was is the
Lazy.
name?
lazy Americans.
Yeah.
God.
I can't reach. He said, I can't reach it.
Can't reach it.
I can't reach it.
I can't. Yeah.
Motherfucker's in a
Jesus.
frilly dinosaur shirt on a Tuesday night and he can't get his fucking ass
Yeah.
up to get a movie.
Okay. Nope. Here it is. You don't want to bust my balls. It is called The American Sasquatch.
Okay. Oh, look at
God.
that. He got American flag on his face.
Yeah.
On a
And
Sasquatch.
And whatever that face is not the mask that they wore in the movie. They
Okay.
probably got that from a website or something, but that is not the costumes that they used.
Shall hold it up again. Harry and the Hendersons goes deep state.
Did you know Harry was there on January 6th?
That's funny.
Harry and the
That's
Hendersons
funny.
join the insurrection.
It says terror has no bounds.
Yes. Great tagline for that.
Yeah.
Just based on the DVD case, it looks terrible. Just based on
It
that
is.
alone.
Again,
Yeah.
Nick, this would be something a little bit of jazz cabbage, and this movie
Sure.
would be
Yeah.
delightful, honestly.
Man.
So yes, I recommend American Sasquatch. Go out to your local DVD shop and buy it.
And they won't have
Okay.
it. You can ask for it and they won't have it.
Because we have the only fucking copy.
There you go. It's worth something.
When the maker of that film finds out that you saw it, it's the same reaction we have when we found out someone had listened to this podcast. We're like, oh, our one listener.
No, but
You're
like I
the
said,
one.
if it's meaning to be campy, they did a great job.
Yeah.
But if they meant to make a masterpiece, they failed.
Okay. American Sasquatch.
American Sasquatch.
We haven't done this in a while, but how many interrupting deans would you give American
Oh, yeah.
Sasquatch?
We haven't done that lately.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Again, I don't remember which direction this. I was always
I believe
confused by the directions.
minimal. It's like a golf score. The least amount of
Lower the
interruptions,
better.
the better
Okay.
the movie is.
All right, so yeah, if they're meaning it to be campy, I would give it.
It's a ballpark, more or less than a ballpark.
I would give it 3. Because if it's meant to be
okay.
campy, it's so awful that it's
Okay.
good.
It's like you can't
And
look
again,
away.
Right. and I have yet to do any sort of jazz cabbage deals with it, but I bet that would enhance it.
Okay.
Okay.
Brian, do you have some reviews?
You been watching any Sam Squanch films?
Mm-hmm.
No, I have not. But on Sunday, I with my mom. She wanted to see it, but I watched the newer version of Death on the Nile. So it's the fictional detective Hercule Poirot. It's the same. So Kenneth Branagh plays him in the movie. He also played him on the newer Murder on the Orient Express from a couple years ago.
This is the Agatha Christie story, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So he's a famous detective. A pretty star-studded cast. Annette Bening, Gal Gadot, Russell Brand.
It looked good.
I tell you what, if you like a murder mystery movie, check this movie out. And it was beautifully shot. It was a big part of it's over in Egypt, Death on the Nile, as you can imagine. But it's anyways, I won't get into it. Obviously, no spoilers here. But a guy's engaged to a beautiful woman. Gal Gadot comes along. She's rich. They fall in love. He breaks up with his fiancée, and she keeps kind of following them around where they're trying to go on their honeymoon in Egypt to enjoy themselves. And they wind up getting on this cruise ship, an old paddle boat on the Nile. So they're all kind of confined to the ship. Sure enough, some type of murder happens. I won't go into it. And it gets
the
into
boat
this
didn't
whole...
sink, did it?
Nope, it did not.
So you wouldn't...
what's that?
Well, I was just saying, you wouldn't. Would you need some sort of insurance for to get on that boat?
It might have done some of these people very good to have insurance.
Well, I mean, I don't think he does boat insurance, but I sure know Aaron Blake does car insurance.
And life insurance and health insurance, right?
And tooth insurance.
Tooth insurance. Let me tell you guys, Blake Insurance is an Erie insurance agency located in Barberton, Ohio. They provide auto, home, renters, and business insurance with honesty, decency, and affordability. Erie Insurance is above all else in service. You want to call 234-571-5359 or visit BlakeInsuranceLLC.com for your free 5-minute quote today. And make sure when you do, you tell him that we put you on the boat and send him your way.
Absolutely. Yeah, so anyway, so check the movie out. Definitely recommended. It's streaming now on HBO Max. And
is it already on HBO Max?
It is.
Okay.
And it's also in the 4K digital. So it's if you happen to have a 4K TV, which are more popular these days, like I said, it was just very, very crisp picture and beautifully shot. That in itself is worth a view. So
I mean, 4K and Gail Gadot is that's money right there.
Pretty, yeah, absolutely.
I would like to point out that every time we bring her name up on this podcast, it's said about 4 different ways between the three of us every time.
Is it? I think it's Gadot, right?
I think it's Gal Gadot, right?
Yeah, that's what
Gal Gadot?
Yeah.
We say Gail sometimes. We say Gadot. We say.
We are idiots, so.
Yeah.
And it's actually we say it so many different ways. It has me set when I say it out loud. I have to really think about it. I feel like I was way more confident how to say her name before we ever did this podcast. Now I'm like, Gal Gadot.
It's one of those where you get it when you read it, but when you say it out loud, you're like, oh, I've never actually pronounced this.
Yeah.
I think it's Gal Gadot. Anyways, well, you know the fuck we're talking about, Wonder Woman, right? So
Gail, why don't you just get on our Instagram and leave a comment? We know
Gail got her.
Go ahead. Yeah. Just let us know.
Okay.
Come on, Gail.
Phonetically.
Bring it.
All right. Well, a guy that we do know how his name is pronounced for sure, unfortunately passed away today. Comedian Gilbert Gottfried passed away, 67 years of age. It says after a long illness. So a very nice, touching post by his family. It's basically just encouraging you to laugh in his behalf and stuff. So yeah, just very very nice, touching. Thoughts on Gilbert Gottfried, Dean? He was kind of probably not a whole lot of in-betweens with him. You probably either liked him or disliked him with his whole demeanor and voice and everything else. So, yeah.
To each generation, he's going to mean something different.
That's a good point.
I mean, you could be the generation of where you see him as Iago, the parrot.
That's me.
Or the principal of, what was that? The parent... the Devil Kid.
The Omen?
No.
The Devil Kid.
John Ritter was the dad, and the kid was a real piece of shit.
Dennis the Menace.
I don't know. Something like that.
American Sasquatch.
Yeah.
That's it. Played the Sasquatch,
my God! There's a Sasquatch right there.
That's actually not bad.
It's very good.
Thank you. That didn't feel good, but no. He's
Problem Child.
That's right. But yeah, a brilliant stand-up comic. I remember him as a kid. I was a huge stand-up comic fan even growing up. I would watch all the stand-up spotlight on VH1 and anything I can get my hands on. I was a huge fan, and Gilbert Gottfried was one of those that you knew you were going to get something unique, something exciting, and off the wall. I mean, he was brilliant. Kind of a lot like Bob Saget. If you knew him from the Disney movies, you're gonna be a little surprised when this happened. I mean, he was great on the roasts. It was what this generation might remember him from. But yeah, a brilliant comic. From what you hear, in different interviews with different other comedians and other people, also a great guy. So it is a shame, but his memory and laughter will live on.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scanning his body of work. Obviously,
you
put Brian to sleep. He didn't like that. I thought it was personally, but Brian.
No, just a lot of voice credits.
Get up, nerd.
He was the Kang in the not Kang, but in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the blobby guy in some of the newer series. He was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
Beverly Hills Cop movies.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop 2, excuse me. He was in. He was in all kinds of stuff.
I heard this one. It was on some sort of a radio show or whatever. Might have been Stern. And he played a voicemail that Gilbert had left, and it was really strange to hear him not with that voice, because what you heard on stand-up and on TV, even in interviews on TV,
it was exaggerated.
Yeah, it was a totally different voice. I mean, how Brian, you can attest to this. How great was Gilbert when he would do the Boris? Was it Boris Karloff, or he did Dracula on Stern?
That's
and
right,
he
like
would
Bela
go
Lugosi type guy.
Yes, and he would go for so long. Like he played the fucking long game when it came into comedy. He would draw these bits out where it was, you're like, oh shit, he's still doing it, and it's so. I mean, to me, I love that. I love that Andy Kaufman take it to past the edge and just keep going. As long as you're finding it funny, fuck everybody else. And I think that's what he did a lot. And Intern made a lot of other people laugh as well. So
he did a great Jerry Seinfeld too. He did a great Jerry Seinfeld impression.
Yeah.
I don't know. What, Nick? Any thoughts on Gilbert Gottfried?
I don't really have much to add. I mean, like Dean said, I mean, I've seen. I don't know if I probably don't know as much of his stuff as Dean does, but I've seen some of his stand-up and stuff. Funny guy, like you said. I mean, the main thing I will know him from is just that voice is synonymous with the voice of Iago from Aladdin. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm so ticked off that I'm molting. Yeah. But yeah, just it's really sad. I don't know if he was ill or anything like that. Or yeah, no, he did.
He was. He was.
Yeah, it said actually in the release that he'd been battling something for a while. Maybe I had heard that in the past, but yeah, it's sad news. But leaves behind a lot of his work for people to enjoy for years to come. So
Yeah, he was. I love comedians who could do self-depreciating humor very well, and he definitely did that very well. So he had the ability to laugh at himself and his small body, his voice, his whole demeanor, and his unluckiness with all kinds of stuff. He was very funny.
Do I look like a sex kitten?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then for years, obviously, he was the Affleck goose for many, many years until he
was. You could probably say that he was probably one of the first people to get canceled.
He was. I don't remember what it was. Well, how did he lose that? He said something.
I honestly don't remember.
It was something anti-Semitic, I believe. It was.
But it was. But again, it was in a joke form. Like he didn't like go off and have an anti-Semitic rant.
Right.
It was a joke.
He'd made a joke about something.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
And we can get into that after the break when we get into our stand-up comics. Where comedy can go or allowed to go in today's age. It's unfortunate, but we can talk about that more after the break.
Dean, it was not nearly as bad as the anti-Semitic comments that Nick made. I think it was in episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. If I recall.
It was either 3 or 12.
Yeah, go back and listen to all of them.
It was one of those in between.
Or 32 or 40.
Could have been 32. Yep. Just go back, take a listen, find it, and then let us know what tell us what he said.
Yep. We have noticed out there, by the way, that there are some new listeners to us out there. It looks like some folks are going back out there and listening through prior episodes. So just if you find it, we can't remember. Just remind us the terrible, terrible comments that Nick had. They were extremely anti-Semitic. It just comment.
Wouldn't you shit if somebody did find something?
And unfortunately, the only way to cancel me is to get this show bigger, so it'll matter for me to get canceled.
Right.
The only way to cancel me is to listen.
You need to build us up.
There you go.
So you can tear us down.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. And we're not suggesting that Russia, by any stretch of the imagination, is anti-Semitic, but we have noticed there a little bit more listens in Russia. So if somebody is listening out there,
what a horrible time to.
It's a weird time.
No. Not suggesting that's a tie at all. I'm just saying that there are folks listening out there that seem to be listening to more stuff, and Russia is moving up our list a little bit. So if you're listening out there, at least as a distraction.
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Yes. And we hope we offer a little bit of distraction from all the craziness over there. So, all right.
Before we go any further, can we real quick just appreciate your T-shirt there, Brian? Fantastic. Sure. If you're watching on YouTube, Big Chuck and Little John.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a retro King Kong shirt with Big Chuck and Little John. Big Chuck and Little John. I'm with my Cavs hat. The Cavs did lose tonight, unfortunately, to the fucking Nets.
We got one more chance to get in, though.
Kyrie Irving. They have another chance to get in the playoffs. We're proud of our Cavs around here. They had a good season. They're trying to make the playoffs.
Unless you're listening in New York, then go Nets. Come on, we got to...
Fuck Brooklyn.
No.
I would never say that.
Kyrie Irving is immortal in Cleveland for making the shot to win the 2016 championship, so he'll always be at least somewhat revered here. Just a weird person.
Sure.
But anyway.
He's definitely a different cat. Yeah.
He really is. Anyways, Big Chuck Little John is a local. Yeah. Big Chuck Little John was a local television late night show with 2 local celebrities who just did old movies and weird skits and all kinds of good stuff.
Kyrie Irving was not one of them.
He was not. No.
No.
Nope. Okay. Last week's SNL was a pretty good episode. One of the funnier skits. Pete Davidson made a rap music video called Short Ass Movies. which is actually pretty clever. And ironically, it was a longer skit, but anyway, but it was he was singing about the fact that movies these days are getting longer and longer, and a guy like he just does not want to sit down and watch. He kind of made fun of like Batman being 3 hours and some of these things. He also made a comment specifically that Sex and the City 2 was actually longer than Jurassic Park.
Yeah, because he goes,
Is that real?
And and he's like,
Yeah, I
and the
guess so.
characters, he's like, this is a long movie. He's like, about characters we already know that like, you don't even have to have a backstory for. And like,
That's right.
he goes in Jurassic, because he lays it out. He goes, and in Jurassic Park, they literally brought dinosaurs back, explained how they did it. They kind of like all this stuff happens, and Sex and the City is just the same old shit.
That's insane.
I forgot about that. That part was funny. Yeah.
And I have not seen it yet, but a couple of days later, since this past Saturday, apparently Netflix they came out with a short ass movie section in their movie queue. These are movies like an hour and a half long, which to me that was a fairly standard movie length for a long time. A 2-hour movie was a long movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They talked about this article mentions from today.com. The reason why movies were shorter back in the 80s is just the VHS tapes. The VHS tapes, once it got past 2 hours, you had to have a different type of cassette tape. And they felt that the larger tape would discourage people from renting it because it seemed too daunting to sit down and watch.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
And then, enter, with things like Netflix, people binge now, right? Whole TV series come out, like Woke, I was just talking about in my review. They just dropped the entire season, so you can power through. I mean, I'm almost done. And now I'm going to have to, the flip side of that coin is I'm going to have to wait for, over a year probably to see the next season. But people just, they power through stuff, or they, it's almost like, I can see where that mindset was that, you don't want to make it too overwhelming, but at the same time, I don't know if it's just because we've gotten lazier and we all have less shit to do, so we have more time to sit around and watch stuff. But yeah, now people, sit down and watch whole seasons of TV series, in an evening, or make a night of it or whatever.
But you have the opportunity to stop and pick back up. You're in a movie. You're in a movie.
It's like a chap, like reading a book, and you're like, I'm gonna read a chapter, and then there's your episode. That's true. It's easier. It's more segmented and digestible, I think, in that way. But
do you guys want to know what the longest movie ever is? That's what I was doing. I was looking this up.
Is it Ben-Hur? No. Is it
Titanic?
No. Oh no. I could look up U.S., but I just looked up longest movie ever. It is from Bangladesh.
Okay.
Oh boy.
It is called.
Oh, Brian hates Bangladesh. Don't even get him started.
Man.
Amra Etka Cinema Benabo. With the runtime over 21 hours. It was literally 1,260 minutes from 2019.
What's it about?
That's a long movie.
Yeah.
But while Dean's looking that up, I was going to say, Brian, it's similar to what happened in the music industry with records. Records, for the longest time, could only hold so much. So you started seeing lengthier songs and people playing with in-between tracks and, segues and things on when the compact disc came out, because they could hold so much more. So people started making these really long songs and really long albums and stuff like that. But kind of similar deal there.
Okay, so what's your opinion? I'll start with you, Nick. So are movies these days, in general, are they getting too long, or is it more of if it's more of the epic type movie, like the superhero type stuff that holds your attention, it's so much going on, such a spectacle, is it okay for those type of movies, or just in general, just too long? Get back to the 2-hour length time.
For me, I like a good clean 2 hours. That's fine. I don't, and truthfully, that's, one of the reasons that I really don't, some of these superhero movies are entirely too long. I like the Justice League thing that was 4 hours, and even Spider-Man, was thoroughly entertaining the entire time. but I don't need to carve out that much time. Like it's or even the Batman. Once again, we just talked about the Batman. We all raved about how much we loved it, and as I told you guys, it felt like it was that long, but I wasn't mad at it. I felt like I was binging a show, but I don't need things to be that damn long. Like, package me information in 2 hours and then make me a sequel if you've got more to say. Like, once again, it does depend on, certainly, I mean, I'm going to be more partial to sit down and watch the Batman over. I mean, I will never see the Justice League again. I just won't. Like, it's way too long and I don't like it enough and there's just no way. But, overall, I don't think enough movies are doing it to where it's an across the board, like, movies are too long, but I don't really like the trend of, like, these bigger ones that are, 4 hours, and it's too much for me, personally.
Dean, what do you think?
Okay, look at it this way. Look at it the idea that pornography. Everybody.
Mm-hmm. You just got a virus, actually. You froze up. You got a virus just from saying porn because you're so infested on your device. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, the facial expression was actually pretty funny. Well, you can hear it. Now you're back. Okay. You were frozen like you might have been watching a porn. At least maybe the end of your clip.
Picture in picture is helpful. Yeah.
I just didn't want you guys to see what I was doing.
Sure.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, you're good.
Unfortunately.
Okay. So look at this like porn. Everybody has got tastes. Brian is very traditional. Nick has a foot fetish. I'm by law not allowed to say what I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's, I think they should have these long movies because we've proven with streaming and with everything else that the market is there. We've proven that there's going to be people see it. So why not have it out there for people that are willing to sit down for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Am I?
You're frozen again.
No, we can hear you. You're just frozen on video.
That, or you're dancing like a BG and you've just stayed and hung in that motion for some reason. What about you, Brian? Do you like the long movies, or
honestly, I get sort of mixed sometimes because it's like when I see a movie, like even the Batman. Okay, I wanted to see the movie. It's 3 hours. It's like, okay, that goes beyond a normal planning of a normal evening or afternoon, because by the time you're talking at least 4 hours at the end of the day, right? By the time you get somewhere, you get settled in, you get your snacks, you get the previews, and they're still running the previews for 20, 30 minutes or whatever it is for an epic movie like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is now if you're just like, listen, I'm going to settle in, this is my time, this is my movie, this is my entire evening to check out this movie. That's fine, but it is a bit of a deterrent. It does. I don't know. I think it does hurt the box office numbers somewhat too, because some people it's just harder to get out and plan.
Yeah.
For that length of a movie, and like you say, very often you could tell the story for less. I did like the Batman too, but as we talked about in our last episode, which by the way, go back and check out. We rate the Batman, all kinds of Batman stuff. With a special guest, Keith Porter It came from Gen X, who was great.
Mm-hmm.
But just they could have told that story in easily 30 minutes or longer, less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Go ahead.
When did you guys lose me?
Oh, we didn't know you were gone, actually.
Episode 6.
Oh, really?
Something like that. Right around the same episode that Nick had the anti-Semitic commentary, I think, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, you mentioned about, longer movies and things like that. I remember when Titanic first came out. I remember seeing Titanic in the theater, and it was like, that was one of the big things that people were talking about was like, all the critical acclaim and stuff like that. But then they were like, and it's so long. It's 3 hours. And then the VHS came out, and it was 2 VHSs. There was an intermission, and it was like, and at that time, that was it was kind of, I don't want to say unheard of, but it certainly wasn't the norm, especially not for a movie of that kind of, success to be so successful while still being that long. And but yeah, now it's like, I mean, I don't want to say you don't bat an eye at a 3-hour movie, but it's definitely that doesn't mean what it used to, because we've seen longer movies than that, 3.5, 4 hours. So, and be pretty, commercially successful or popular at least. So yeah, it's just kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Dean, what
All
were
right,
you
Dean,
going
what
to
do you
say before
think?
you froze?
I have no clue what you guys caught or didn't catch, because I actually went on a whole spiel about it, and then I realized you guys
Was it about
weren't
porn again?
No,
We-
I
no.
thought you guys were intentively listening until I realized you were frozen. I'm like, oh shit.
We missed all that. So just what was your point?
Yeah.
Oh, the point was everybody's different. There is a market out there for 3 hours, so why not make them? If you're willing to go see it, then go see it. There's people that like it. Nobody's forcing you to the theater,
Right.
so
True.
And to your point of, this is this fad of 3 hours in all these movies. The what pokes holes in that is the top 5 longest movies were made in the 50s and 60s. And no, they weren't like from Bangladesh. I'm talking about just from Hollywood. Cleopatra was the longest movie ever, with from 1963, 248 minutes. Third place, Gone with the Wind, 1939, 221 minutes. 1962, 222 minutes of Lawrence of Arabia. And then after that, 10 Commandments, 1956, Ben-Hur, 1959. So it's not, this isn't a new deal. They've always been throwing out these really long movies. It's just, I think we're with, it's noticeable now, I think.
You know what? Back then, though, I bet they did intermissions. And I some
Sure.
of these movies
Sure.
I've been in, it's been a while. It's been a long time since I recall sitting in a longer movie and they actually had an intermission. Would some of these long movies, would it be more comfortable for you
Sure.
where they did an intermission so you could stretch your legs, use the bathroom, get another snack or whatever it is? I think it would help the theater too, frankly,
Remember,
for that matter.
the
But
Hateful Eight had a intermission.
That's
I think that was
right.
the last one that had it.
That's right. That's the last one I saw. I remember seeing. You're right. So
And
if you're
not a
going
lot
to
of
go over
people
3
know
hours,
this.
go
Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was going to say, should there be intermissions if the movie gets to a 3-hour runtime?
Sure.
Should the filmmakers be encouraged to find a reasonable break and allow an intermission? Would that help give you a little recharge to pay more attention to the movie? Otherwise, most people you got to get up and go anyway, and you're gonna
be
miss
unique,
something
too.
that could be critical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be kind of a nice little gimmick.
Yeah. I don't think it would hurt, definitely. You know what I mean? I don't typically have a problem sitting through it because I have to get up, but
Well,
I wouldn't hate the idea of, like you said, having a little stretch. Maybe you talk about the first half of the movie,
sure.
and then it's I don't think it would be a bad idea.
I mean, he didn't only say that because not a lot of people know this, but Nick has intermissions when he makes love to himself. He has a scheduled intermission break.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, just to talk about how the first half went and how we're going to finish, all that stuff.
right.
You know what I mean?
How do you think this is going to end?
Yeah, where the game plan's going. Do we like where this is going? Is it
I mean, he says that because normally I'm sitting right next to him.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to consult with you to see how it's going, how you think. It's helpful to see how an outsider feels about the situation.
I'm like a
some
baseball
pointers.
coach. I'm yelling out there onto the field.
Mhm.
Get it up there. Choke up on the bat.
All right. Well, speaking of intermissions, we're going to take an intermission here. It sounds like if the movie's good, we don't mind sitting through it. It's not really,
Sure.
but we would not mind some intermissions in the theater for some of these longer flicks. So, and your point, if you really want to see the movie, the runtime's probably not going to deter you from going to see it anyway.
Right.
But I don't know. In general, though, there are definitely more and more movies that are longer where they could tell the story in a shorter time. So just consider that out there to the many powerful directors and producers who listen to this show. If you're any minor influence at all, either run an intermission or throw more shit on the editing floor. Okay.
I don't know.
Tell him Convincing Idiot sent you.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but when they do the film adaptation of Alf, I expect that motherfucker to be 4.5 hours. That's just me.
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of backstory.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
I want
Okay.
the whole Melmac experience, backstory.
That's right.
All that.
That's right.
That's right. Origin
Epic.
of Melmac. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So we'll discuss that more on our intermission. And we're going to come back and talk about stand-up comedians. So some of our favorite stand-up comedians, our personal Mount Rushmores, our favorite comedians who went into acting, some good stuff there. And we're going to talk about that after the break.
Isn't it nice to have an intermission?
It is. Pause us. Take a break. Get a drink.
Touch
Jerk
Have a
yourself.
smoke. Whatever
Hey.
you want to do. That's right. Come back
Can we
in a
just
few
become
minutes
best
after you're
friends?
more relaxed. Of course. Of course. Right back.
You can't see my other hand.
And we're back on Convincing Idiots. Welcome to the Funnies. We are here to talk about some of our favorite
That is way too high expectations here.
our favorite stand-up comedians. We in the first segment, myself, Millennial Nick. Sorry, I got a little excited. I get a little excited when the funny bone is tickled there. I, Millennial Nick, along with Zennial Dean and Gen
That's
X
me.
Brian, we
That's him.
discussed a little bit in the first part, perhaps about discussing some of our favorite stand-up comedians. In homage, if you will, to the passing of the great Gilbert Gottfried. And so we're going to just talk about some stand-up comedians we have enjoyed, maybe some different stand-up comedians who have both done well in a stand-up comedian's role as well as an actor's role, have transitioned into TV and film and have been very successful there, and what kind of things that we look for and why we like the comedians that we like. So
I like them a lot.
why we likes the funnies that we likes. So again, I like the format of just going in a timeline fashion. So Brian has been on this blue marble floating through space longer than any of us, far longer than some of us. So Brian,
Not longer than the guys on my shirt. Well, actually, maybe.
who are some of the? Is it Groucho Marx, the silent comedian guy, or who's the
Nope,
guy?
not at all.
No, who's the?
You're doing a comedy podcast, you
Chaplin, Charlie Chaplin. He was right. He was the silence comedian. The silent comedian.
silence comedian.
The silence comedian. The silenced comedian.
Silence comedian.
Honk, honk,
He was in some silent
Waka
movies,
waka.
but I don't think he was a stand-up comic. But Dean's a big Charlie Chaplin fan, actually.
I am.
But
Okay.
yeah, there's so many comedians out there that have, that just super talented and have a particularly good stand-up special or something on all that nine. So it's hard to pick the very best of the best because you can argue a lot of different ways. But I had a longer list and I'm trying to whittle it down to like my top 5.
Now he's just
Again,
bragging.
Well, but you could ask the same question in
You
a
said
week
list.
or two.
I'm sorry. My headphones.
That's
sorted
right.
out there.
That's right. Ask the same question in a week or two, and you certainly might change your mind. But some of my top comedians of all time, in no particular order. Okay, I have Jerry Seinfeld. Okay, his earlier stuff. He is one of the quintessential straight men in comedy.
Nick's out.
Nothing. I like the dirty and the blue stuff as well. Don't get me wrong, but Jerry focused on just simple observations, breakfast cereals, life observations, stuff like that, and his comedy and routine helped him launch the Seinfeld series, which of course was huge. And one of the things I liked about certainly is the first couple of seasons of Seinfeld. It had a clip of Jerry doing some of his classic stand-up bits at the beginning and throughout the episode. They kind of phased that out over time a little bit, but I don't know, just very clever, very good observation comedy. I thought he was terrific. On the other side of the spectrum, Richard Pryor. I a lot of his early specials in the late 70s and early 80s were on cable television like HBO and stuff when I was a kid growing up as a teenager. And I caught some of his stuff back then and just became an instant fan. Every time those specials came on, I was watching them. I mean, he was just magnificent as far as his storytelling was terrific. And he was very open and very candid about stuff that happened to him and his drug problems.
He set himself on fire smoking crack and does a whole fucking bit about it when he got better and went back on stage.
Yeah, there's one bit on that was like, I learned something. When you're on fire and running down the street, people will get out of your way.
So fucking good.
He was terrific.
Fun little trivia, Brian. Wasn't he was that the sheriff in Blazing the Saddle was written for him, correct?
You are correct.
Originally,
he wrote the screenplay with Mel Brooks, and he was just too much into drugs at the time. He was binging coke and everything. He was just too out of it, and they didn't want him acting in it. But
that movie would have been. I mean, the guy who did it was amazing.
Cleavon Little.
Imagine the stratosphere that movie would have done if it would have been Richard Pryor in it.
You know what? I don't know.
It would have been. Oh, come on.
We'll talk about
Richard
it.
Pryor. All right.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it more because I thought Richard Pryor was a better comedian than he was an actor, and I think that way, vice versa, with some of these other guys. We'll get into in other parts of the discussion. But the movie was great as it was, but it was his genius and screenplay writing definitely came through in Blazing Saddles for sure. So very, very funny. If you never saw any Richard Pryor stand up, go back and watch it. You can find it out there on streaming, and I think maybe even Netflix may have some stuff. Anyhow, in that same vein, Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, I think, is one of the smartest comedians out there for sure. Mm-hmm. Maybe of all time. Definitely, I like a comedian as well that, not all the time. There's some comedians, I get in the mood, I'm like, I just want to laugh. I don't want to think too much. I like simple stories. I like that stuff. But Dave Chappelle, if you're in the mood to sit down and really listen to what somebody has to say and make you think and laugh, Dave Chappelle is definitely one of your guys. Very open about racial,
very intelligent
tension. Yes, absolutely. So
another thing about Dave too, like he always does in his specials, he has such a way of making everything work together. There'll be something at the beginning of the show and it comes back at the. I mean, he just has this way of I almost would call his stand-ups something of like a concept album that an artist would do, where maybe you have.
He did that songs, on these newer Netflix,
but they all kind of
episodes.
Yeah. But he's done that in a lot of them too in the past. Even before that, some of his earlier ones, he's just really. It's an ensemble. Like the whole thing is just it's like a piece all of its own. I mean, they all the different things that he talks about, they kind of operate separately, but then also work together. It's really, like you said, it's very, very intelligent.
And the way he develops, or the way his voice, right? Okay, his voice in not just comedy, but like pop culture and culture itself. If this would be in the 60s, he would be. I mean, he would be next level, even compared to what he is now. Like, he would not only be, a top comedian like a Richard Pryor, but he would also be right there in the 1960s. He would be there on the civil rights scene, because of his social commentary and the way his mind works and how brilliant he is. He would be right there with all the men from history, from the 60s, in the civil rights movement.
Sure. Yeah, the Dave Chappelle show, some of the funniest television you're ever going to watch ever. It's some of the best skit comedy that's ever been made.
To this day,
frankly.
it's all, still quoted like crazy. You know what I mean? It's
Is there anything more
like you guys
quotable
said,
than
it's
Rick
massive.
James, bitch?
Yeah.
Come on.
Hilarious. Chris Rock made my list. I went back and forth with this here, but I tell you what, every special I've ever watched of Chris Rock is hilarious.
Sure.
Same type of stuff. Great storyteller. I like his cadence. Just super funny.
Well, not only just the comedy, but like the way he presented, like that one special. I've never seen anything like it. Where, of course, when a comedian films a special for HBO, Showtime, whatever, they film multiple, maybe multiple in one night or multiple throughout a weekend, and then they piece together. Not a lot of people realize it, but they piece together and edit the bits of the best of the weekend. And they wear the same clothes, so they get, like it's very seamless deal. He did the brilliance of doing it in 3 nights, 3 different outfits, and like in between jokes, he would piece those together. Like one joke was from 3 different nights. So one line was here, one line he's wearing blue, one line he's wearing red, and it was just visually, it was very intriguing and very, really off the wall. It was a really cool concept. So he's on that level to me is the mind of not only just comedy but entertainment also.
Very good. Yeah, we try that on this show here too, folks. And so we've been wearing the same clothes here for 3 days straight, and we're trying to piece together some form of entertainment here.
Unfortunately, this is the horseshit you got.
I thought we were all wearing the same clothes because we can't afford any new ones because no one will subscribe to our Patreon or anything.
Well,
Patreon, well, you should go. You should do that.
Yep, patreon.com/convincing idiots. Thank you.
There you go.
And
hashtag Nick's feet.
Hashtag Nick's feet. That's right. Free Polaroid of Nick's feet with every $2 subscription. Patreon.com.
Where's my credit card? Where the fuck is it?
I'm not joking. Yeah.
I'd give out some Polaroids of my feet for $2.
Sure.
Buy a Polaroid camera, I think, but
I'll give you a picture of both feet for $3 and call it a deal. There you go. Yeah.
Now that's a deal.
That's like buy one get one half off, brother.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then I think probably one of the funniest, most intelligent comedians of all time. Maybe you could arguably say he is the most intelligent comedian of all time. Thought-provoking. George Carlin is on my list as well. So again, started in the 70s. Folks today may not be as familiar with him. You might know him from maybe the Bill and Ted movies and stuff like that. But George Carlin's comedy is some of the funniest and most thought-provoking I love when he gets on riffs about politics and the government and stuff like that. Very, very smart man. He was his comedy definitely was thought-provoking, and another one of these guys that was just sort of
prolific.
Prolific. I'm going to make you think, and that's what I do. That's my comedy. He could tell an off-color joke and just make you laugh, but he had like the 7 dirty words bit that was very famous that actually helped. Helped the Supreme Court decision or something like that. I read.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so
they weren't literally the 7 dirty words that you couldn't say on television. There was not a list until he, and literally he said that he had changed them. And the only reason he chose those 7 words is because phonetically it sounded funnier in the bit. Okay. He could have chosen any 7 curse words. He chose those 7 because they sounded funnier in the bit. So because of his comedic genius and the way he thought of like just words and how they sound in order and succession, changed fucking pop culture and culture itself when it comes to like TV and movies and with that Supreme Court deal. Yeah, it's amazing.
So, Dean, why don't you go ahead? That's what I got. So, I got George Carlin, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Seinfeld,
Okay.
Richard Pryor. You're already on a riff here with Carlin. Go ahead.
Well, I thought we'd have the same, but I have number one. I mean, obviously, we have George Carlin. Like I said, if he's not on number one or number two, because I'm gonna, spoiler alert, the other one for me is Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor and George Carlin are number one, number two.
Yeah.
Not just
argue either
in
way.
general.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure. 1A, 1B type deal. And ask any comedians themselves, and they will put Richard Pryor and George Carlin up there at the top. I don't need to really go there because, we did that with you. Excuse me, yours. But George Carlin and Richard Pryor formed and made what stand-up comic what it is today. If any stand-up comic you turn on YouTube, Netflix, you will, if you listen carefully, you will hear George Carlin and or Richard Pryor in that bit, in that voice, in that tone, whatever you want to say. So those are my number one and two. Now we're going to go into maybe the tier down, if not. I mean, no, you know what? He's in this tier. Eddie Murphy. If in the 1980s, if you weren't quoting Eddie Murphy raw, him in that fucking red leather suit.
That's Delirious. That one, yeah.
Delirious. I'm sorry. Yeah. Delirious was the red suit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Delirious or Raw. I mean, you were quoting both of them. I mean, he was so huge. He was one of the youngest stand-up or Saturday Night Live members, especially at that moment. He was like 18.
Yeah.
But his stand-up, I mean, it's a shame. I hear that there's rumors that he's going to try to go back out.
Oh, okay.
After, coming up soon is go back out on tour because he stopped stand-up altogether. Literally, he retired so he could do movies. And then he put out Dr. Dolittle, and he was like, fuck.
Don't forget about Norbit.
Right. Jesus. But to me, in the 1980s, Eddie Murphy in the 1980s, even take away just the movies, he is right up there with Hulk Hogan and, Mr. T. Cereal.
Yeah.
He
iconic,
is
yeah.
Correct. And then the last two are, they're just my favorites. I'm going to go with Mitch Hedberg. Rest in peace. Mitch Hedberg was, if he didn't die so early, what he would have done to comedy would be along the lines of those guys ultimately. By the end of his career, I believe that he could have been the voice of his generation.
He was so brilliant, but in such a simple way, if that makes any sense. Like
100%.
He just, I don't even know. He was just so. He was a different type of comedy than I'd really ever recalled before.
Well, it's one of those where like a lot of comedians make jokes on stage, and you're like, that's happened to me before, or wow, why didn't I think of that? You watch him and you go, fuck, it's so simple. I feel awful that my brain, that my brain didn't make that joke.
Right.
Like I like to think of myself, even outside of this, global podcast of comedic genius we are. I like to think of myself as a funny guy. I like to make jokes and stuff. And really? I didn't say they land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are jokes, really, guys.
He said he likes to think of him. Oh, I get it. That's the brilliance. That's the funny. That's the joke. See what he did, Brian?
I
you see what he did?
Oh, no.
Genius.
No.
Brilliant.
Genius. But well, no. Mitch Hedberg is, I mean, he makes you just angry that your brain isn't able to work like that. And again, like you said, Nick, so simple.
Right.
Like it's like, oh, it's right there. It's fucking right there. But okay. And now my number 5 is my favorite stand-up comedian of this generation, probably any generation, but Mr. Jim Norton. Nick and I had gone to see him live in on stage in Cleveland a couple years back. Jim Norton, if you haven't seen him, turn off the podcast right now or pause it. Come back and go and Google YouTube. It's on Netflix. He's on Netflix. Go and listen to Jim Norton. He is filthy. He is dirty, but he is fucking brilliant and funny. There's not much more I can say. He's my favorite comic. When it comes down to it, comedians make you laugh, and there is nothing that he doesn't do that doesn't make me laugh. I enjoy him. One of my highlights of being on Twitter was he liked one of my tweets one time.
Oh, nice.
And I almost pissed my pants in excitement.
Wow.
The only thing stopping me because I had to come when I jerked off.
There you go.
So there you go. That's my Mount Rushmore of comedians.
There you go.
You and your dick were crying tears of joy.
Of course. It's Jim Norton. What can I say? I made it Monster Rain.
Sorry. Nick, what do you got?
I don't have a lot to add. You guys have taken most of mine, but I have Eddie Murphy. Briefly put, Delirious is, in my opinion, the single greatest stand-up I have ever seen. Beginning to end, it's nothing short of a masterpiece. It kind of makes me sad that Eddie Murphy, when you mentioned, went to go do acting. Don't get me wrong, Eddie Murphy's been in some great movies, and he's been very funny in some great movies. Sure. But it just, man, it really, when you watch Delirious and you watch Raw, and some of the stuff he did on SNL too, was it Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood? Yes, those were very good. He's just a funny guy. So Eddie Murphy is definitely up there. I also have Dave Chappelle because of just like you said. I mean, I was watching his stand-up pretty early on, and then when Chappelle's show came on, you started watching it because I liked his stand-up, and then that was a whole other living, breathing, mecca on its own that became took on a life of its own. And glad he's back to doing stand-up, and glad he's back in the public eye. He's also got a podcast he does with Mos Def and Talib Kweli, the guys from Black Star, so that's really cool. But Dave Chappelle's just brilliant. There's really not much more to say. We've pretty much gone over it. I also have Mitch Hedberg. He is one of my all-time favorites. Like,
absolutely.
Again, all the things that we mentioned, so simple, it's funny, and just so many. He was just, he really was. He could have been one of the all-time greatest, and to me, he is one of the all-time greatest. Even so, he was gone far before his time. My last two are a couple of my favorites. I'll call it my Jim Norton pick. The way Dean described Jim Norton is just everything he does makes me laugh. I just love him. I think he's hilarious, and I think he's good-natured, good-spirited. Aziz Ansari is one of my favorite stand-ups.
Okay.
I absolutely love everything he does. I love his delivery. I love his demeanor, and I love how he kind of throws in a little bit of just realness in his stuff. Some of it's really heartfelt, and it's and then he finds a way to turn it back into a joke and stuff. He really navigates that kind of dynamic really well. Love Aziz. And then my probably newest favorite stand-up comedian that I've found within the last 5 years or so is Daniel Sloss. If you have not heard of him, I would not strongly recommend. He's very dark. His viewpoints and opinions on things.
What's his name again?
Exactly mirror mine. Daniel Sloss. So that's probably why I enjoy him so much. He's just he's just very dark humor. I believe he's Irish. But he's got a couple specials on Netflix and HBO and things like that. So if you're into the darker side of comedy, he's definitely worth looking up. So that would be mine. Yeah, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, Mitch Hedberg, Daniel Sloss, and Aziz Ansari are my 5 favorites.
I mean, we can't go wrong with any of our list, guys. I mean, yes, comedy is subjective. It's a little troubling that Nick didn't have George Carlin or Richard Pryor. But
I understand
again,
they're great.
it's
They're just not my
generational.
favorites. They're fine.
Sure. But yeah,
That's before his time. You think about that. You and I, Dean,
That's-
caught those guys on specials on cable growing up. Probably is one of our earlier exposures to those guys. So it's just past his.
I mean,
yeah.
for example, George Carlin, I think if Nick watched it now, would get the appreciation. I mean,
Yeah.
it's universal to me. Maybe
Sure.
I'm wrong.
Probably.
Maybe I don't know these young whippersnappers like I think I do. So, but yeah, comedy is subjective. It's whatever you are, again, generational. It's the quote I enjoy saying is, "That's not funny, is your opinion. It's not fact."
That's right. Well, you guys have convinced me to go back and listen to Mitch Hedberg. I know the name. I don't know if I've seen any of his stuff, so I'll go back and check him out and some of these other guys that you mentioned.
I will also say, I wonder if, I don't know that Mitch Hedberg is, and I'm not saying you won't like him, but I'm saying across the board, I don't know if Mitch Hedberg is everybody's cup of tea.
Hold on, I got you though.
Mitch Hedberg, that's not to say he's not funny, but it's just his
Mitch
vibe
Hedberg. You need to watch a few things, because there's somewhere it's like, if you're not familiar with him, you're like, what the fuck's going on? Okay. You need to like give him his special, like, or whatever, hour-long special, and watch the whole thing. Don't just go to YouTube and pull up a 5-minute bit, because that 5-minute bit might be confusing to you because you don't know his cadence or his style. So give him his whole special. Give him his whole time.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, if you're out there listening or watching, comment. We're interested to know who some of your favorite comedians are out there.
No love
listening.
For fucking Jeff Foxworthy anywhere, eh? Wow.
Or Gallagher.
Gallagher. I kind of forgot about him, but it's, you know what?
Gallagher, since I was a kid, Gallagher's one joke has always stuck in my head that I've always fucking loved. Why do they call Wednesday hump day when most people get laid on the weekends? Even if it's so simple, but it's always stuck in my head.
He's one, actually. He's sort of, if you know Gallagher, you know him for smashing the watermelon with it, and all that's funny. But being a right wing nut. But his stand-up act in those
funny.
He was very intelligent. Another intelligent comedian.
He didn't smash watermelons until like at the end of the show. Like he did an actual stand-up deal.
Oh yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah, I had plenty of other guys on my list, but those. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We could talk about this all night, but
look at Louis C.K.
I had him as
his legacy hurt. Now,
no,
what I mean? Would he have been on your Mount Rushmore if not?
I have an argument against that.
He's funny.
What he did, weird, but it's not like he did it to strangers, and it was a bad judgment call. He thought he could get something out of this thing. He was wrong. They said no. He put it away. They left.
Right.
He didn't force anything. He misjudged the situation. He went one step further than if you're at a party and like, oh, I think this girl wants to kiss me, and you go to kiss her and she's like, no, that's not what this moment is. Right. You misjudged the moment, and that's what he did. He's like, here it is. Is this happening? No, that's not what this is. Yeah. Oh, damn it,
Nick! It's every time Dean has us over for anything at the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
That's right.
Same thing. You think you would learn your lesson?
Yeah. Right.
I think we would learn our lesson.
I misjudge the moment. I show you my dick and I try to kiss you.
Every time. Every time. Yeah.
Although there is a little every time, each time that it happens, Brian at least looks at it a little longer each time thinking about it. That's just my opinion.
Just trying to make it out for once.
I will say, I think it's weird that he's still kind of given that, I'm not condoning what he did or whatever, but like you said, I think it was an honest misreading of a situation or whatever. Yeah. But there are other people who have been let back in to things that have done way fucking worse than Louis C.K.
Woody Allen married his daughter.
Yeah. What's that dude from? Oh God, there was an Entourage that played Ari. The
Oh yeah, that fuck stick.
yeah, he's like touring and he's like
Yeah.
making appearances. He's in stuff, and I'm like,
Right.
so we're just cool with this.
And you can't bring back Louis
That guy's a
C.K.,
fucking
who was
monster.
honest. Louis C.K. is one of the best stand-up comics of our generation.
He'll be
Hands
back.
down.
Yeah, Louis C.K.
This
is great stuff.
time will help him out. Okay, we can talk about our. This could be an ongoing. Lot of great comedians out there. I'm interested though. A lot of comedians they started out in doing stand-up, and they went on to do television and or movies. I'm interested in you guys' opinion as who are some of your favorite comedians. They may not even be the same. They could be great at stand-up, not necessarily great actors, or vice versa.
Well,
But
Nick,
who are some of your favorite comedians that went into television and or movies? I'm interested there.
Yeah,
Go
now
ahead.
we spoke a
Hold on,
bit
hold
off
on.
air.
that's what I was about to say. Nick teased us with, "There's only one correct answer," and so did I.
Yes,
That's body of work. Now he's talking about a body of work. I'm just talking about
Right.
Correct.
now-
From
get to that.
stand-up to body of work,
when I
who's
am
made the
saying
best?
as far
Right.
as who has been the most successful
Mm-hmm.
in TV, film, whatever film in this case. In my opinion, I can't even think of anyone that's even close, and there's only one right answer. And Dean made mention that he believes that he has one as well, and I'm curious if we're thinking of the same one or not, because I honestly can't even think of another one that's on his level. So
I mean,
Okay,
if
so-
you're
all
talking
right, so we're
about
going straight
money
there.
and what they made from
Okay, we're
what
going
they
straight to the-
did,
and the cultural impact,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay, so not
One,
just some
two,
of your
three, we
favorites.
say it.
You're jumping
Okay.
into who has the greatest body of work as far as stand-up comedy into TV and movies.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3, say. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Robin
Williams.
Jerry
Williams.
Seinfeld.
No, Robin Williams. No.
Oh boy, shit. No, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
I mean,
100%.
and it's no disrespect to Jerry
100%.
Seinfeld, but
No,
when
you're
I
right.
think Jerry Seinfeld, it's just Seinfeld and stand-up, and that's pretty much it.
Right.
Robin
You're right.
Williams, I mean, cultural impact, all the countless movies. I mean, he was
100%.
people my generation's entire childhood. He was in everything, and it wasn't until he passed away that I really realized, oh my God, yeah, like. You
Yep.
know, Aladdin, Jumanji, Hook, just, I mean, the list goes, I'm forgetting so many. It's just,
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire. It's astounding.
Goodwill Hunting.
Yes, absolutely.
Ruled According to Garp. Awakenings.
Flubber.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's silly,
Popular
but it
amongst
was,
children, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
The one he's
you're
in he's in the film developer creepy guy.
Oh, One Hour Photo.
That
was a good movie.
That's my favorite.
That was a good
Robin
movie.
Williams movie. Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
But,
he
No, you are 100% right. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
didn't make our
100%.
list. No, didn't make anybody's list as far as favorite
Oh,
stand-up
I
comic.
can
but
explain that though.
Go ahead.
Do you remember his stand-up comics, his HBO specials from the 1980s?
He was
They were
definitely
fantastic, but he was
all
wild.
over the place. Yeah, he was all over the
Literally,
place.
like he would climb up into the balcony
Yeah.
and do bits.
Yeah.
He did a lot of crowd work. He did a lot of voices. So his stand-up wasn't
Spastic.
as
Yeah.
yes, his stand-up wasn't as focused and you felt a lot of things were like off the cuff, which they probably were, but I'm sure he had some sort of plan in his head. I think that's why he doesn't get the love for his stand-up that he does for his movies, TV, and all that.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget about fucking Mork and Mindy.
I was just saying. No, seriously. No,
seriously, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Not many. I'm thinking of. There's not many comedians, let alone actors. Okay, who you think about this? They had a pop culture. They were big in pop culture in several decades. So the 70s, you're right. He made it big with Mork and Mindy. That was a huge show. When I was in grade school,
Huge.
you motherfucker watched Mork and Mindy, and you watched Happy Days, and some of those.
Yep.
You would just watch those with your parents. That was a huge television show, and he was very, very good. And then obviously the 80s was a whole other level for him with all the movies he made. And Good Morning Vietnam and all these terrific movies. He was in all the HBO specials with Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg. They did the
Dead
they
Poets
did the
Society. I forgot about that one.
Okay,
too. That was another big one.
He is
Right.
one of those guys.
And then beyond.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He's one of those guys that if you just take, all right, the career that he had, name two random things, and he is, if you were going to have a Mount Rushmore of pop culture, he would be on there. Just two random movies or TV shows that he did. Like you said, Good Morning Vietnam and Dead Poet Society. Boom. Look at, shit. And then you combine it with like the hundreds of shit that he did.
Right.
Insane.
And
Insane.
not many former comedians won an Academy Award. He did win Best Supporting Actor for Good Will Hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was up for, he won different Golden Globes. I don't know. So just
incredible.
Definitely, and very sad that he is no longer with us. I mean, he was definitely battling his own demons, but he was definitely a comedic genius, and he translated that into the dramatic actor just so well. Anyway, okay, all right. So Robin Williams definitely seems like he's our as far as what about others though? Others in the running.
Well, Jerry Seinfeld is up there. I mean, Seinfeld's
up there.
Shit, look at what he made. The amount of money he made from Seinfeld up until 1998. I think it went off the air, right?
Somewhere in there, 10 seasons.
And he's probably still making millions each year from syndication.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
the
dude is just... And I don't know if you guys have you guys watched Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
Very good.
No, I have not. I've heard of
Nick,
it.
you should. Nick, you'd like it because actually, do yourself a favor. Start with Aziz. He's in one episode.
Okay.
Look up that, and then once you see it, you'll be like, you know what? I kind of want to see him interview other comedians.
Yeah.
Start with the one you like, and then it will make you go back and either cherry pick or just run straight through.
Okay. There's also on Netflix, Dave Letterman has that series on Netflix where he interviews people.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
There is an episode that Jerry Seinfeld interviews David Letterman, I think in season 1. That's also very good. So Jerry Seinfeld's a good, like you say, he's a good interviewer as well.
Right.
So, yeah, he's definitely not known for making any movies that I could think of at all. But you're right, the pop culture phenomenon of Seinfeld.
He has a movie that he's producing at least.
B movie he made. I know the Disney animated
but he's
movie.
producing the movie about the history of the Pop-Tart.
Okay.
It's filming now. It's in production now. I don't know when it'll be out, but he's doing the Pop-Tart movie now.
Okay.
Next on that list, you gotta put Eddie Murphy. I mean, really?
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
what he's done. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, his 80s movies alone make that list. And you got 48 Hours, Coming to America, still one of my favorite movies to this day. It's one of the funniest movies out there you're ever going to see. The Beverly Hills Cop franchise, Trading Places. Of course, the Shrek movies, he was terrific as the donkey voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That donkey is Eddie Murphy. That's it,
Yep.
Like you said, Nick, his movies kind of. He made a newer movie actually on Netflix, and doggone, it's a true story about some comedian who went on to make a movie. But I have to look it up here while we're here. But it's newer, came out within the last couple years on Netflix. He was awesome in that movie. So it was like, it was great to see Eddie Murphy get back to his comedic acting chops in this particular movie. So you're right. He definitely makes that list. No question about it.
Yeah.
100%.
I've got one on my list that have had a lot of success in movies and still does really to this day. Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler's had a bunch of hits.
Absolutely.
I'd say similar to Eddie Murphy's. There's been some flops, but I think the good ones, outweigh the bad. I mean, especially
and if you're looking at money, at money and what those movies made, he's up there easily.
Yep.
Dolomite
he
is
was
my name, by
somebody-
the way. Sorry, Eddie Murphy. Dolomite is my
Dolomite is
name.
my name, okay.
2019. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Adam Sandler was somebody I did not find funny on Saturday Night Live at all. I did not enjoy Adam Sandler on Saturday Night Live, but you give me
I didn't.
Happy Gilmore,
It's not that I
Billy
didn't
Madison,
enjoy him.
The Wedding
It was just
Singer.
weird.
Yeah, he just
Like
I
everything he
don't-
did, you're like, what?
Yeah,
I know we're getting.
I'm sorry. He was good. I mean, when Adam Sandler, his earlier movies were definitely miles ahead of some of the newer stuff he's put out there. I mean, he was quite good.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The Wedding Singer was terrific with I can't think of her name. Drew Barrymore.
Yep.
Happy Gilmore certainly was a huge hit at the time. I don't know, but some of his
It's gotta
he
be
has
his
such a
best stuff.
wide spectrum though. It's like I guess a lot of these guys you could almost say that too. I suppose I don't know. Go ahead. You got
I
another
think
one?
he's in-
I'd be
ahead.
goddamn if I didn't get teared up at the end of Click, and I'm not. That's not a joke.
That's a good movie. Yeah, that is.
The end of that was
All right.
fucking touching.
With his
Yeah.
dad. Yeah.
Like I'm watching it, and there was something there where I had someplace I had to be, and I'm like, okay, I'm almost through this movie. It's, it is what it is. It's okay. And then like at the end, like where I had to be, I'm a fucking. Why in the fuck am I going to be red eyed going in wherever I had to be because I just watched a damn Sandler movie?
right. Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck, that thing was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's done a lot, and like I think Big Daddy was one of the first ones that he kind of did where it
Yes.
really touches on some. I mean, it's a
Good
funny
movie.
movie, but it touches on some, some good, some heartfelt moments, I guess.
All right, I got one for you. Started out as a stand-up comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Went on to make a couple of movies that I know we enjoyed that he's in. How about Michael Keaton for your
Sure.
consideration?
See, I
Sure.
did not realize he was a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
a famous one.
No.
I didn't realize he started out. As
I've
a
never
stand-up,
seen
so-
any of his stuff, so I can't really talk. But I mean, but like given on just that he was a stand-up and that he, the money and the quality of movies he made after that, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
he's on that list.
Got the earlier works. Night Shift was a very funny movie with Henry Winkler, Mr. Mom, obviously the Batman movies, Spider-Man, Beetlejuice, Dream Team, Birdman. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor. So actually,
Did
of
you
all
guys
these
see
guys we're
Birdman?
talking about,
I still
I
never
did.
have. I wanted to, but I never
It
did.
is a
no.
weird and very cool movie.
Yeah.
he was
Yeah,
good.
it-
I mean, it's,
It was good.
I don't think any of these guys we're talking about here won the Best Actor Academy Award other than Michael Keaton.
That's true.
So, yep.
If you want to go, Kevin Hart.
Oh yeah.
What Kevin Hart's done lately. I
Yeah.
mean, endorsements and podcasts and TV and movies.
He's in
Kevin
everything.
Hart's on that list. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
He's done good for himself, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure. I've got.
He's almost got an Eddie Murphy
go ahead, sorry.
quality to him, where his demeanor, his way, he's not like anyone else. And I know I realize I compared him to Eddie Murphy while saying that, but I mean in the way that Eddie Murphy is just fucking Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? Like the donkey in Shrek is Eddie Murphy. If Kevin Hart does a voice like the bunny from Pets or whatever, The Secret Life of, I mean, it's
Sure.
just Kevin Hart. It's just
He's
nobody
going to
else
be in the new movie
nobody else is
Super
Kevin Hart.
Pets.
Right? Yeah, he's what is he? Batman's dog?
No, he's
Or no, which
the Rock
Oh.
is Batman's or
he's
Superman's
the
dog.
Flash. He's the Flash's.
No. The premise of the show is Superman's dog is the only super pet, and some sort of lightning or some sort of weird thing happens to a bunch of like kennel dogs that are about to be put in,
Okay.
and they all get superpowers. He's one of them.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's see. I mean, shit, you can go like Red Fox. I mean, how big
Sure.
was
Sanford and Son was huge.
and he did a couple Harlem Nights.
Sure.
Shit, Nick, have you never seen Harlem Nights? Harlem Nights is a really cool movie with a bunch of stand-up comics, African American stand-up comics.
Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor was also in that movie.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie.
I got Jim
mean-
Carrey on my list as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shit.
Oh yeah.
No, you're right. That's
It's a great
actually
one.
literally who I was looking at. So
Yep.
Yeah, you kind of forget about some of his earlier movies too. I mean, you got the big Jim Carrey. I mean, he obviously was in Sonic, Nick, that you just saw
Mhm.
those last
Yeah,
couple
right.
movies.
He's
But earlier
fantastic in
stuff
that,
here-
by the way.
I mean, he's very Jim Carrey-ish in Ace Ventura, of course. But that was a huge movie at the time. The Mask. He's super
Mhm.
Jim Carrey
Yeah.
in that movie. Dumb and Dumber.
Liar, Dumb and Dumber.
Liar,
yeah.
Liar. But I look back through his list here, and I'm thinking
Batman.
Batman with as the
Forever.
Riddler. Truman Show. In Truman Show, he won a Golden Globe Award for. That was a
Sure.
terrific movie. If you have not seen, have you seen that, Nick?
I have
The
not.
tr-
No.
So the premise is basically he's grown up in this world, and he's on a television show, but he doesn't realize it. Everybody around him, his entire life, is acting, and it's a reality television show that he's starring in and doesn't realize it. So, terrific movie. The premise is very interesting. I don't know, in my opinion, if you want to watch a more serious, he's still funny in it, but a more serious Jim Carrey movie, go back and watch The Truman Show. And I'm thinking back of all these actors as well. Every holiday season, I watch 2 Jim Carrey movies every year: The Grinch and A Christmas Carol, when he's in the animated Disney
Oh, yeah.
version of A Christmas
yeah.
Carol, where he is just terrific as Scrooge. His voice work, and the ghost. He's virtually almost every voice in this whole special. The ghost, and he's very, very talented.
don't quote it, but so I like to before I get in the car to drive home, I like to pour a lot of beer all over me, just douse myself in beer, get in the car and drive as fast as I can. And when the cop pulls me over, he pulls me out, you smell like beer. You want it? And I'm bringing this down here. Blow into the breathalyzer, and I just, how's that? That's one of his stand-up bits.
Mhm.
Was that he would douse himself in beer so they would make him blow in the breathalyzer, and he hadn't been drinking, so
Right.
As Living Color, he was in. He got a star. Anyways, just
Yeah.
all right. Any others make your list? I got one more. You got any others that make your list as far as all-time
I mean,
comedians who went into television movies? Good.
I mean, actually, since to cut time, I can just name a few off the top of my head, or not top of my head. What I'm reading here: Rodney Dangerfield,
Sure.
Don Rickles, Steve Martin,
Steve Martin's
Bill
on my list. Yep.
Bill Cosby,
Sure.
Joan Rivers. I mean, she was huge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure.
Bob Newhart, Bernie Mac, Ellen
Yeah,
DeGeneres,
Bernie Mac.
Wanda Sykes.
There's
Sam
so many when you really. Sorry, I don't mean
Right.
to cut you off, but
No,
even when
go
you
ahead, by all means.
just keep it to the scope of Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Everybody that's got their start
Right.
in SNL, they were doing stand-up comedy. That's how they, you know what I mean? That's where it
Sure.
starts. And so everybody that's gone on to be anybody with any sort of commercial success, which
Tim
is
Allen.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right. So yeah, there's definitely a ton.
Way more than we have time to list.
With that being said, I'd like to. We didn't talk about this off top, but do you guys have any newer comedians that you guys really enjoy that that you found recently?
All right. If I was gonna ride that bike, who would I pick?
He's been around a little bit longer, I guess, but I don't know. But Bill Burr is newer in
Sure.
my perspective, I guess. I don't know.
I love
He's
Bill
pretty
Burr,
Yeah,
You
Bill
know,
Burr's great.
and he gets funnier everything. If you, Nick, you're familiar with him, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You guys saw what made him famous. He would go on O&A all the time, but he did this one stand up in New York. At the O&A virus tour, right? A bunch of stand-up comedians, and they started shitting on him, and he destroys this crowd. I mean, it's just mean, vicious, and fucking funny, and that's what made him honestly famous.
Yeah.
was that like just destroying the crowd. It was on. So if you Google Bill Burr destroying crowd ONA virus, however you want to do it, but that's a great thing.
Yeah, he can react quickly. He sees something, he just
Very quick.
intelligent.
Like
I
you'd be
like,
riding a bike.
John Mulaney as well, like a former SNL writer.
John Mulaney's a good one.
He's been on SNL a couple of times.
I was gonna get tickets to go
very
see him
sharp.
this summer, but they were a little pricey. But yeah, he's coming to Cleveland. I think in
Gary Shandling.
May or June.
Gary Shandling is he a newer comedian, or are you talking about the guys that just made it big in TV? And
I'm still going.
okay,
that's just made it big.
Okay.
Sorry, I got confused. I'm trying to do a different bit, but that's not quite working.
That's all right.
Keep mentioning bicycles.
This topic we can go. Well, mentioning bikes. Yeah, it's just like he's so smart. It's just like riding a bike.
That's right. Well, you know what's better than riding a bike?
Christ.
You know what's better than riding a bike? Not having to pedal one and simply enjoying the ride. Now,
that's right.
An electric bike would offer you that kind of experience, one in which you could pedal if you would like, or just enjoy the ride. And where might you find a place that would hook you up with that kind of experience? Well, look no further than our friends located in Carrollton, Ohio. They are called RPM Bike Shop. You can look them up on Facebook by searching RPM Bike Shop, or you can give them a call today at 330-808-7792 and get your ass into gear today.
All right.
I like that.
Thank you.
I was
actually
very good.
I was going to forget the ad read. I thought about the first half, and I was.
Did you hear me in the last 3 minutes? Like I kept trying to mention the word bicycle in there, hoping
I didn't hear you say bicycle once. No.
Yeah. I kept. I mean, you don't listen to this podcast, but if you did, you'd hear the last 3 to 4 minutes. I would just throw on the word bicycle and then looking into the camera, hoping that.
Yep.
No.
Okay.
Trying to help you out there.
Thanks, appreciate that. RPM Bike Shop. Thanks you.
All right, so we can go on this all evening here. So certainly, our lists were terrific, and the comedians that we mentioned
were terrific.
Yes, that's right. So, Dean, I want to pick here this evening here for young Nick here. I would like to hear, please, the outro as the great Robin Williams. How about that?
Oh boy!
Ooh, that's a tall order. That's a tall order.
Okay. That's Robin Williams. Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna go find Convincing Idiots. All right, you're gonna go to a link tree. You're gonna go out. You're gonna try to find a big old link tree. Oh, there's a link. There's a tree. There's some links. You're gonna find a link tree. Go to Google Convincing Idiots. Linktree.com. LINKTREE. Linktree. Okay, there you're gonna find all of the links that you want to find. Also, go to our website, convincingidiots.wordpress.com. Okay, convincingidiots.wordpress.com. And there you are going to find links to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all of the things that you could. I don't know. I'm bombing this. You're going to go
that's good. I was fucking impressed. I'm like, wow.
You're going to go there. You're going to find all of these links. And I feel like as I'm going further and I'm doing this face, I'm like I'm trying to stay Robin Williams, but it's turning into Donald Trump a little bit if I'm not crazy. So both are spastic. So, there you go.
Right.
But anyway, that is where you can find all of the links. Go to convincingidiots.wordpress.com or Convincing Idiots Linktree. So, for this episode of Convincing Idiots, I am a millennial. My name is Nicholas.
Waka, waka, waka. I'm the Zennial Dean.
More calling Orson. Come in, Orson. I'm Brian Gen X.
Have we convinced you to come back for some more sit-down comedy with us next week? No hecklers, please.